Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jackson and Kaylie. We took a week off, but we're back at it. We got the late pick 5 this Saturday, Louisiana Stakes Day at Fairgrounds. Kaylie, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts of the sequence, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. My thoughts on the sequence. I thought that the turf races were a little tricky. I think that there are some obvious ones, but like we were talking about before we started, sometimes those races play out differently than they look on paper. But I was pretty happy that, the Oaks and the Derby obviously are a part of the late pick 5. So that, helped a little bit with the single in the Oaks and a single somewhere else in the sequence. So I think it's a pretty fun sequence overall.
Me too. Jackson, how are we doing?
Doing good. I agree with Kaylie. The turf races looked brutal. I studied those as much as I could and don't have that strong opinions as I do in those dirt races, but we're going to try to work through them and try to lean on those dirt races a little bit and be a little spready on the grass. And I think we got to acknowledge the new banner we have right over there. It is. Pretty excited for this one over here. It should be a lot of fun to team up with those guys and looking forward to what we have to work with in the future.
There we go. Yeah. If you don't see in the bottom right, at least of my screen, maybe the bottom left of yours, there is an America's Best Racing logo as we're now streaming on their part. So welcome everybody that's watching on the ABR Live X or YouTube. Please head over to the Gallop Out, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything. But that being said, yeah, you'll be seeing a lot more of us on your airwaves, and we're very, very excited about it. But yeah, I'm also very excited to dive into this sequence. Obviously, yeah, there are a couple probably strong singles, pretty strong A's in here, but those turf races, as you both mentioned, are wide open. You can definitely get some prices, and by no means could this be a low-paying pick 5, even with two, easy singles. There's still could be bombs away in those turf races, and certainly in the last race of Louisiana Derby. So without further ado, we'll get on into it. We'll go into race number 8. Picks are up on the screen. We're going a mile and a 16th for this listed stakes event. My picks are 12-1-10. Jackson went 12-9-4. Kaylie went 1-4-3. Kaylie, we'll start with you on the rail. Fun with Flags, who was last seen in the Belmont Oaks Invitational.
Yeah, this horse is pretty interesting because, she's making her first start in the Chad Brown barn, which is an angle that, you like to play when you can. This one interested me because she started all over in Europe, and then the trainer sent her right into a grade 1 in her first start in America. So that definitely caught my eye. Clearly, the trainer thought highly enough to put her there, whether it was the right spot for her or not. She did end up coming a little bit too wide to get the trip that she needed, and she was facing absolute monsters that day with Cinderella's Dream, and she feels pretty as well. So now she's making her second start in America. She gets first time Lasix, and also she gets Flavian Prat aboard as well. So I thought that this one was pretty interesting, and there's definitely room for improvement off of that first start here. And she's been training down in Florida all winter and looks to be training well. So I thought this one was interesting.
Yeah, I thought the same. Definitely got some help from the post position draw, projected to save some ground. Obviously, Flavian Pratt's going to be in town for this weekend. So he has another main mount for Chad Brown that we're going to get to shortly. But yeah, this runner just had a long time off since that last race over summer. You mentioned it. Obviously, Chad Brown's had this one ready. I'm expecting a pretty big effort here. I thought some others, at least on top, I thought one other looked appealing to me. And Jackson, you thought the same thing, as we both went with our top pick, the number 12 Stir Crazy for Mike Maker. Louis Saez on board today.
Yeah, I was hoping after the 2 weeks off that you would stop copying all my picks, but apparently
I don't copy.
And you're still just going with the same horses I choose. So
it's just great minds think alike, brother.
I hope that's the case here. This is a really tough race. There's 13 in here. You can make a strong case for at least 10 of them. And, I do like Kaylie's horse a little bit. I didn't know quite what to do with her. A lot of them coming out of the same race at Fairgrounds. It was just a weirdly run race, I thought, where this is one of them as well, where the pace just completely held together. No one did any kind of running from the back of the pack. And she was the one that was way up against it, drawn way out wide, behind the slow pace, didn't run at all. But, her form prior to that was just so good on the grass. We saw the race at Fairgrounds in December where overcame a lot, got a really strong number. I know the buyer was only 84. Time form had that 122. If you translate that, that's about a 20-point difference. So a little interesting that they're so different in that one. Same with the race with Fort Churchill when she was close to a hot pace. 117 is about a 97 buyer. So their turf form prior to that gives her a really strong look. I do like this jockey upgrade. Maybe not upgrade, but I do think Saez is going to put her a lot closer into the race, which I think will help her in a race that I didn't see a whole lot of speed in here. So I think Saez will have her, mid pack, and she'll be a much more engaged early in the race. We're going to see what she has in the stretch. I think those races back in the fall give her a big look, and she's going to be a price for the first time in a while. So give me Stir Crazy at 8-1.
Yeah, I like the price too. That's ultimately what ended up having me choose this horse on top over the number one, just because obviously I think the connections of Pratt and Chad are going to get heavy play at the windows. But I thought 8-1 on Stir Crazy, and you go to those efforts 3, 4, 5 back. Jackson, you mentioned it, great. All those efforts are very much strong enough to win here. Kaylie, I'll go out to you as we talk about the number 4, Tufani for Stidham and Ben Curtis.
Yeah, this horse fits speed figure wise, and also, she's projected to be making up ground in the late stages of the race. She has run very consistent figures, and she does pretty well at Fairgrounds. This is her second start off a layoff, so she should be taking a step up here as well. And, although her last 2 stakes wins were against restricted company, she has won against open company at Fairgrounds and seems to like the track as well. So I viewed this as one that should be making up ground in the late stages and could fit that way and take a piece. So I thought this one was pretty interesting in second at 5-1. Maybe we'll float up a little bit as well. Like you mentioned, I think the 12 you put on top should be taking money come post time. So maybe this is one. I don't think enough to go off lower than this one. I don't think this one's going to be a shorter price than the other one, but I think that, this one fits speed figure wise and should be making up ground. So
without a doubt. Jackson, you have this one in third. Anything to add?
Yeah, I have her third because I don't see the race really setting up for her. I want to give her credit for the last race because she really is the only horse that made any kind of move last time from the back of the pack. So she was closing into that pace. She reminds me a lot of that horse we talked about last night, Ryan. It was the D'Amato horse, Divine Propro.
Divine Propro.
Yeah, one of these days this horse is going to get a setup and she's going to win. And you look at her last 4 starts, just deep closer, slow pace. And she closes every time and got up to win a few of those. It's just against this quality of horse, I don't know if I want to use her as my top pick just because I'm not sure that she's going to get the right kind of pace setup at this price.
I agree. This is a listed stakes technically, but there's a lot of graded stakes horses in this field and a lot of class to get to. And not to mention Tufani last out lost to Nanda Dea, who's a pretty highly thought of horse for, I believe, Nacho Correas. So certainly one that warrants respect. If this one gets any pace, I'm with you guys. Certainly would get some, respect on my tickets. I went with the number 10, though, Wild About Hillary, as my third choice. I thought this runner was a little bit interesting. I thought she was just going good at the right time. I like the move to move this one dirt to turf. Jarek Loveberry, obviously out at Fairgrounds, that's kind of his home track. That's where he does his best riding. He knows all the courses really well. So I want to give this one a slight look here. This is a pretty deep and contentious field. I think this one might get forgotten about. 8-1 on the morning line, but I think you'd get as high as maybe 10, 12-1 come post time because I think there are some others that are going to be bet just based on connections and based on turf form. I know this runner doesn't have a whole lot of turf form, but I like that win last time out. Obviously, I don't think the rest of that field showed up too much, but the fact that the trainer feels confident enough to move this one onto the turf off that effort, come back to Fairgrounds. I like it. They tried to get this one on the turf 2 back, but that one was rained off. So I'm looking forward to this one, and hopefully, we get a bit of a price, and hopefully she can surprise a little bit. Last horse we'll talk about in this first race is the number 3, Way to Be Marie. Kaylie, you have this one in third for Rob Atras.
Yeah, this filly has some pretty good speed, and she's won at this track. Going gate to wire against older last year. Since then, she stepped up to graded stakes company and was able to run pretty competitively. Last time out, she was up on the pace the entire time and just kind of stayed in second until she got passed and ended up finishing third. But I think that her good speed should get her into the mix early, and she should be able to maintain her run so long as she's able to sit a good trip. And last time she made her third start with Lasix, she won. I'm not a big pattern person, but that's something that stuck out to me a little bit. So maybe it should repeat itself here, but I think that her good speed should get her into the mix of the race for sure.
She certainly projects to be forwardly placed in this event. Could get the jump on those deep closers. So that's the number 3. One of the last ones we'll talk about is number 11, Eastern Empress, Joel Rosario, Christophe Clement. This is a horse I don't have in my top 3, but I did give a really strong look to. Deep closer, at least last time out, Rosario took this one kind of way back. So, say what you will on that, but comes in this one, has some ability to be tactically placed. Maybe last time just kind of lost a little bit of speed coming off the break. Second time off, hopefully sits a bit closer to the pace. Again, as we mentioned with the number 4, I don't think there's a ton of early foot in here, but this one could sit mid-pack. And Joel Rosario on a closer or a horse from off the pace coming down the lane. Long stretch at Fairgrounds. I think this one deserved a bit of a look. So I put this one on my pick 5 ticket that we'll get to at the end of the day, along with Jackson's and Kaylie's. Kaylie, last one to talk about for this one, for this race, is the number 7, Amber Cascade, a horse that you don't have in your top 3, but did want to include on your ticket.
Well, this one was super interesting because she's switching to turf. I mean, if she runs anything that's on par with some of her best figures ran on dirt, which I know I'm kind of going out on a limb here, assuming that maybe that could happen. But I mean, Cherie DeVoe knows what she's doing, and she's putting this horse on the turf. And she does have a little bit of turf on the dam side to go off of too. So I thought that this one was pretty interesting, making her first start on the turf. And I did put her on my pick 5 ticket just in case she happens to really take to it. So you got to take the connections pretty seriously.
Without a doubt, you're going to get Cherie DeVoe and Irad Ortiz at a price on turf. Cherie obviously trains some fantastic turf routers. Irad, obviously one of the best jockeys in the country. You're going to get them teaming up, and you're going to get around 8-1. Can't imagine it's going to be too much shorter than that, given the competitive nature of this field. So I went wild about Hillary. You went with another dirt to turfer, so hopefully one of them can kind of step their game up. Jackson, any other horses you want to talk about before we move on?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the 9 super quick because my second pick. Kind of interesting. We all have different speed horses underneath, but this is one I thought had a chance. First off the bench, she ran really well in that spot. And I know that was a race that the one pace setters went 1-2, but it's come back to be pretty live. The horse she dueled was Just Better, who was second to She Feels Pretty at one point last year. So that's a nice horse. And then I believe the 3rd and 4th place finishers came back to run 1-2 yesterday, and they were both prices in a pretty similar spot. So got to think that race was pretty live. Why can't she take a step forward, second off the bench? And she's one that's going to be 4th place. So want to give her a look, especially underneath with Jose Ortiz riding, who must be winning at like a 70% clip, it seems like, on the Fairgrounds turf course right now. Every time I turn it on, he's winning.
Yeah, every day he wins so many races. I believe 87. I think that's a meet record. I have to do some digging into that, but I'd be hard pressed to imagine a jockey has won more than that, because I can't remember the last time a jockey has gone down there and just dominated the way he has. But I'm with you. I think Distortadoro deserves a look. That was a nice effort off the layoff, coming back for the 4-year-old debut. So if she can build on that second time off the bench, certainly could pose a major threat to this one. So that is race number 8. Yeah,
she is running here, by the way. She's entered at turf late, but she's supposed to run here. So
there we go. That's the Turfway King expert right there. That is race number 8. First leg of this pick 5 sequence. I went 12-1-10. Jackson went 12-9-4. Kaylie went 1-4-3. Competitive first race to start it off, and that's good because the next race not as deep, I guess, on face value. A couple notes before we get into the picks. The number 1 Kinetic will be scratched from this race. The number 6, Uno Mas Bourbon, is scratched from this race, and the number 8, Tarantino, will scratch from this race. So that definitely changes the dynamics a little bit, but nonetheless, our picks in this race is the return of the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, Sierra Leone, universal top pick across the top. I went 7-2-9. Jackson went 7-2-10. Kaylie went 7-2-5. And actually, we all have the number 2 Hall of Fame in second. A horse for Steve Asmussen, that has won his last 3 races. But we obviously have to start with the number 7, Sierra Leone. Very impressive horse. Finally got the job done last time out on the biggest of stages in the Breeders' Cup Classic at Del Mar. Kaylie, why don't you take us away with a solid A pick across the board here?
Well, he's the best horse in the race. I mean, like you guys said, there are some scratches, and I know that we're waiting on some maybes here that could be major pace presences, but so long as he has pace in front of him to close into, which he should, this is the best horse in the race. And I would even go as far as to say that if a couple of those other speeds scratch out of the race, he's coming back off a layoff. He should be pretty sharp. Maybe he is sitting closer than we've seen him in the past as well. So that was another thing that I thought about, either two ways that he could win. If the speed stays in and he gets the trip that, his dream trip, or if he's able to sit a little bit closer. But he is the best horse in here, and he's going to love the long stretch at Fairgrounds as well. We saw him make up ground on that stretch when he was 2 in the Risen Star over a sloppy sealed track. So hopefully he gets a fair track as well. And regardless, I don't even think any of that really matters. This horse is heads and shoulders above the rest in here. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think he needs much of a pace, and I'm interested to see the running dynamics of Sierra Leone, because I think Chance McPatrick has a pretty similar running style, or at least did as a 2-year-old, and he came back in his 3-year-old debut and was much closer to the pace, given I think he needed that race off the bench. You have to imagine for Sierra Leone, this is definitely a starting off point for him, but still, you mentioned it, he's head and shoulders above the rest of this field. Jackson, I know we all picked this horse on top, but I'm going to task you with a duty of giving me something possibly negative that could be against Sierra Leone here.
Well, one thing is I kind of disagree a little bit with Kaylie. This horse just has never had any early speed, so I don't know why all of a sudden maybe he does, turning 4, he's a little fresh, but he's just one of those plotters. And if there's a lot of scratches in here, and a horse like Hall of Fame, who's pretty good in his own right and is on the improve as well, gets a 5 or 6 leg head start, and Sierra Leone is has bigger fish to fry down the line, maybe he can hold him off. The problem for me is that Hall of Fame is going to be completely overbet as well. That's like the obvious alternative. Like, it's going to be Sierra Leone 7 to 5 is never going to happen. He's going to be 2 to 5, 1 to 2 in this spot. But Hall of Fame will probably also be 9 to 5 ish, 2 to 1. So there's not a whole lot of betting value in this race. Maybe horizontally, if you want to try to beat Sierra Leone, that's where it would lie. But he's still supposed to win, even with the layoff, even with perhaps the lack of speed with scratches. But he's a 3-year-old champ. He's the classic winner. He's very, very good.
Yeah, he without a doubt is. I have nothing to add on the number 7 Sierra Leone, so I'll start with the number 2 Hall of Fame before I pass it back to y'all, because we all have this exacta 7-2. Yeah, logical second choice in here. This horse is in the best form coming in, just hasn't faced the likes of Sierra Leone, so you got to imagine this is going to be the biggest test. Funny enough, they are both shared by the same ownership group with the Tabor Silks, so that's certainly something to look out for. I think betting this exacta, I don't know how much the return is going to be, probably even money if that, but it seems like if there were any not sure things, but if I was 99% sure a bet was going to come in, it'd probably be this bet. But Hall of Fame going to be on the pace, so as Jackson mentioned, could get the jump on Sierra Leone. I just don't think he's going to be able to hold him off in the long run. So had to pick this one underneath, and Jackson also with a great point that Hall of Fame is going to be wildly overbet in this spot as the clear second choice, kind of wise guy horse to beat Sierra Leone in this spot. So it's all 7-2 for me. Anybody else have anything to add on the number 2 Hall of Fame?
I mean, I definitely, if there are some more scratches, that is the time to go reevaluate and look and see if Sierra Leone is truly a single. As of right now, he definitely is. But if a couple of other speeds scratch out, this Hall of Fame, could get the jump on him. I don't really see it, but that is, if you're looking for a hole to dig in Sierra Leone, that this horse is probably going to be his main threat. So
I'm really curious of when we get to see Flavien Prat make his move on Sierra Leone. He made it in the Breeders' Cup coming around the far turn. He knew if he had the lead basically at the quarter pole, he was going to win, and that was typically the case, or that was the case. So I'm curious when we're going to see him start to get into Sierra Leone and kind of lengthen that stride. And I don't think he's going to let Hall of Fame get too far away. I'd be surprised if they were more than 2 lengths apart at the top of the stretch. And if that's the case, I think it's all over for every other horse in that race. Jackson, I'm going to throw it to you as we're going to talk about the number 10 Bishop's Bay for Irad and Brad Cox.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because once upon a time he was really good as a 3-year-old, finding his own, and he was second to a head to Arcangelo. We know how good he ended up being. Then ran another really good second to 2 Phils, who at the time was arguably the best 3-year-old in the country, and then he wasn't seen for a really long time. And he's come back and he's run fine. If you look at the buyers, kind of been stagnant a little bit. Timeform tells a different story. They've kind of had it slowly increasing with that last one at 122. So, it's about 10 points higher. And that's kind of what Hall of Fame has been running with as far as the speed figures go too. So if you're looking for an alternative to Hall of Fame, maybe in second, maybe want to split those two up in a trifecta and go 7-10-2. That's not a bad way to get a little bit more value out of this race, because this horse with the scratches, he could find himself on the lead. And, at Fairgrounds is really not a bad place to be. It can tend to get pretty speedy over there, especially on the big days. So I'm interested in him as the key underneath.
Me as well. Hey, I'm not gonna, poo-poo that idea whatsoever. I ended up with the number 9. I'm not gonna try and pronounce the name because this would be terrible. Komorabino Amwede. Yeah, that's as close as I'm gonna get. So, this one last time out, lost by a head to Hall of Fame, was ahead of Maycox Bay. Second by a head here. So blinkers on for the occasion. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference. I just think this is another one that's going to be forward. I think this is a horse that's going to get forgotten about just because it's kind of lesser connections than the number 10. Obviously, third choice in here behind the 2 Hall of Fame. But I think this one made some sense to kind of round out the tribe. Just going to be forward. Jackson, you mentioned that's not a bad place to be on these big days. Seems like the 9, the 10, and everybody else looks to be pretty solidified in this field. I know there are a couple TBDs, but I was combing through Twitter, and it seems like that's going to be kind of the body of the field. So I'm kind of hoping on that. I'm hoping this 9 horse kind of gets out to a lead, maybe just holds on for third, and that's pretty much all I can hope for in a situation like this. I don't know that I'll play too much vertically, but I will be playing horizontally, as this is obviously a pretty strong A contender for me. Kaylie, I'm going to go out to you. Touch Upon a Star, the number 5 horse, the horse you have in third.
Who I'm pretty sure is a maybe. Correct, but I think, and if this horse ends up scratching out, then I'd probably land on either of the 2 that you used in third, probably the Japanese horse. But the 5 is the other horse that fits in here speed figure wise, has really good speed, won over this track in this distance, and I think maybe should be able to sit a nice trip, save some ground maybe, and like you said, being forward isn't a bad place to be. So this horse should be in the mix early and hopefully able to hang on as well. So I put this one in third, and but your 2 options are pretty logical choices as well.
Yeah, so is the number 5, Touch Upon a Star, has just gotten better in every start so far in this one's 6-year-old year. And hey, a Louisiana bred facing these open facing the Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Not every day you get to see that. So hey, I'm sure a lot of hometown people at Fairgrounds and in Louisiana could be wishing on this one, because that would certainly be something special if this one could even get close to Sierra Leone, I would think. So that's race number 9. We won't spend too much more time on it. It's pretty straightforward. Sierra Leone on top, Hall of Fame in second across the board for us 3, with the number 9 in third for myself, number 10 in third for Jackson, and number 5 in third for Kaylie. We'll move on now to what I think is the most difficult race in this entire sequence. That is race number 10. It's named after our co-host Jackson Muniz. It's the Muniz Memorial. It's the grade 2. It's not actually named after him, but it certainly should be. All right, Jackson, I'll lead you off with the picks. You went 5-12-6. I went 7-3-6. Kaylie went 6-5-7. Of course, for this race, we got to start with Jackson. We got to go to the number 5, redistricting, last seen at Del Mar. Questionable ride by Pratt that day. This one was way off the pace, but take it away.
Yeah, I made a tweet today saying that Irad has been dethroned as the best rider in the country, and it's Flavien Prat. There's no doubt about it. But I'd agree. I think that was one ride he would probably want back in the Seabiscuit. He was so far back for absolutely no reason at all. I don't know why he was. I mean, I think he was like 3 or 4 lengths back from the next closest horse at one point. I know they're going fast, but that was kind of ridiculous. And he still almost won that race. And that was a horse, Mi Hermano Ramon is a very, very good horse. He barely lost to Johannes a couple times. He's within a half a length or so of that horse. So it's not like he was running against some scrubs in that spot. This is a serious horse with a big kick. And if he gets any kind of setup in this spot, I think he's going to be very, very tough. I'm not really counting on 9-2. I think he'll be closer to 3-1 in this race, just based on the connections, and everyone's going to see the trip last time. Getting Lasix again helps because he's not the most trustworthy horse, but his 2 wins did come with Lasix, and they were both very, very impressive. So a lot of arrows for me pointing in his direction, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one run back. I couldn't pick this one on top because I don't think the price is going to represent the value. I think it's a very deep and competitive field, but I certainly think if he runs back and is in a better position than he was last time out, because I mean, he was so far back. He was so far back going into the first turn. I thought maybe something was wrong, and he was gonna like get pulled up out of it because it was so unlike him in his running style. But then, yeah, Pratt just kind of got into him going into the far turn, and he came flying towards the end. But me, Herman, and Ramon had a great trip that day, so not much more he could do in that spot. I'll go right to the outside. A horse that is also trained by Chad Brown had a huge effort last time out at Gulfstream Park. I have this one in third. Jackson, you do as well. But Kaylie, I'm going to throw it to you as you have Spirit of St. Louis on top.
Yeah, this horse is, the horse to beat. Last time out, obviously won the Pegasus off a layoff, and as a 6-year-old, ran career best 102 buyer at this distance. And then before that, if you look at his form, obviously fits here as well. He's mostly undefeated at this distance, and Gaffleone, who rode him for the first time in the Pegasus, is going to ride him back here. He's probably going to sit mid-pack. Just make one move. He has enough speed to get himself into a comfortable position and make one move. And, Chad dominates these types of spots. So I did put his 2 horses on top. I do think if, the number 5, you're probably going to get a better price on, obviously. And that horse, I think, ran a very good second. I'm going back to the number 5 in a grade 3 after almost a year layoff at a 1 1/8 distance. So these 2 really obviously stick out to me. So I put them 1, 2, and I had a hard time trying to beat Spirit of St. Louis here. So
yeah, it's going to be tough to get past the Chad Browns. I'm going to try my best with the number 7 Rebel Red, who's coming in off a layoff from early November after a 3rd place finish in the Red Smith, where a little bit of a change of tactics resulted in this one being forward. But had a career best buyer speed figure. Jose Ortiz, the meets leading rider down at Fairgrounds, is going to hop aboard for this one. I wanted to give this one a look. Again, I'm just trying to kind of beat those 2 Chads in there who I think are going to take the majority of the money. I'm hoping, maybe the price floats up a little bit on Rebel Red, and I certainly think on her best day, or on his best day, I should say, he can certainly factor in a big way. So, yeah, Cherie's going to come in here off the layoff. We've certainly seen them surprise before with horses like More Than Looks, and obviously She Feels Pretty is pretty much a monster as far as turf races go. So I'm looking forward to seeing Rebel Red run in this spot. I think she could sit a good trip. I think she could get a jump on a deep closer like Spirit of. Sorry. I thought he could get it. He could get the jump on a horse like Spirit of St. Louis. I'm curious to see where redistricting is placed during this race because I thought that one deserves a big look as well. But it was number 7 Rebel Red on top for me. Kaylie, you had this one in third as well, so clearly you respected this one.
Yeah, and I think that last time out, maybe a little bit too long for this horse, and I think that the cutback in distance should help him. And I mean, Cherie DeVoe on the turf, you have Chad Brown and Cherie. I think that these are your main players in the race. And this horse is another one that fits speed figure wise and does pretty well at this distance. So
Without a doubt. I know I just called Rebel Red a she, and Jackson corrected me by saying he and he multiple times, which I thought he was talking about this horse, number 1 Gigante, where Howard Kravitz in the chat. I thought Gigante was winning this one. Jackson, anything to say on this horse?
Yeah, I thought this race was a mile. Turns out it's 9 furlongs. He's not nearly as good at this distance as he is at a mile. So that what was it, like 2 weeks ago prediction? Yeah, we're gonna pass on that.
All right, so we're going to stick with you, though, because we're going to go to the number 12 Higgins Boat, breaking from the far outside. Real quick, worth mentioning, these 1 1/8 races, they do not run them very often at Fairgrounds. If you look at the chart, and actually I'll scroll up so we can see it real quick, they start about halfway down the far turn on that turf course. I forgot the name of it, but on the turf course. So just keep that in mind. They've only run one before. It was the Fairgrounds turf race. I think it's just called the Fairgrounds. It's the grade 3. And the horses that broke from post positions 8 and 9 ended up going 1-2 in that race. So, maybe post positions matter, but I guess according to the last race, they really don't. So go ahead, Jackson, with the number 12 Higgins Boat.
Yeah, very similar to the last turf race we talked about. There's no speed in this race. I mean, I'm looking through the inside 10 horses, and really the only other speed horse is the 11 right to his inside, who he beat to lead last time. And you mentioned they start in the turn and with his post and his running style. I mean, they got to be sending. That's their only chance in this race. I expect them to be on the lead. I expect them to be on a rather uncontested lead, and I don't think they're going to fly in this spot. Is that going to be good enough to win in here? I don't know. Maybe not, but I really want to use him underneath kind of everywhere and be my key underneath horse where maybe he's not good enough to win, but he fights all the way and hangs on for second or third. And you can use him in your trifectas, because I do think he's going to get the right kind of trip in here. And he's a 4-year-old on the improve. I mean, the horse he lost to last time is Taking Candy. That's a nice turf horse for, I believe it's Cherie, I think, a horse that did really well over the summer at Saratoga. So that's no shame in losing that runner. Going to be a big price. Let's see if he can hang on in the stretch.
Yeah, I definitely give this shot. I definitely give this horse a big shot. Looking at the speed figures and looking at where this horse is going to be placed. Quick note from Howard Kravis: that starting destination is wrong. Have no idea what the diagram is about. They start on the front stretch, long run into the first turn. All right, thank you, Howard. I was going to say that seemed a little weird, but it certainly seemed closer to accurate, because the mile and a 16th is pretty far back, but I guess only going a 16th of a mile. They are not into that turn, but starting on the front stretch, long run into the first turn. So yeah, Higgins Boat should cross and clear. Hopefully a long lead. I like it with the underneath kind of play for you. Next one I'll talk about is going to be the number 3, What Say Thee, for Mike Maker. I want this one coming back out of the same race last time out. This one finished third. Kind of gained show late, as you can see in the trip notes. Also, if you watch the replay, this horse was so wide turning for home. This horse was in the 7-8 path. He could have, gone to the parking lot and gotten his sunglasses from his car if he wanted to. But Saya is aboard today. I'm hoping he saves a lot of ground. He should sit right off the pace. He's second off the bench from a November layoff. So I'm hoping for a good step up and improvement. Obviously, this is a 7-year-old now, but he seems to be going well. Mike Maker throws him right back into a graded stakes race off that layoff. So clearly he came out of it all right, and he's feeling all right. So I'm going to look for Saez and Mike Maker to save some ground going around that course. Tip out, hopefully not, 8 wide coming for home, but that long Fairgrounds stretch is going to be to his advantage. I am with Jackson in agreement. They're not going to be flying. I think this one has the ability to maybe sit a little bit closer to the pace compared to some of the other runners in here. So I'll give this one a look underneath. So that's the number 3, What Say Thee. I think we just talked about all of our 3 picks. Does anybody else have any horses they want to talk about, as this is a extremely deep and contentious field? Jackson, I'll go to you first.
No, I was going to mention the one just because I did throw him in my pick 5 ticket, because I will never, ever forgive myself if I call that shot 3 weeks ago and he won and I didn't have it. So I threw him in there. But I feel pretty good about the 4 that I have in my pick 5.
Yeah, I like it. Kaylie, how about you? Any other horses you wanted to talk about?
Oh, we should probably talk about the 8. Did we not talk about him?
I was just scrolling that way. Yeah. So real quick, I will touch on the 8 for Brilliant Birdie for Cherie DeVoe. Obviously, this is another top runner. This one's going to be coming in off a nice layoff since October. Going to make the 4-year-old debut, so could take a step up. Could have just grown up over the winter and had over that nice long break. And obviously, Cherie's been going really well out at Fairgrounds. Brian Hernandez up. They hit it 30% with just about a $2 ROI. It's sitting about $1.99 right now. So when you include takeout, that's above. That's a positive ROI. So, this one definitely deserves a strong look. Did you guys include this one on your pick 5 tickets?
No, but another one I definitely gave a long look at, speed figure wise, fits pretty well, but I just feel pretty confident with the top 3 I have on the pick 5 ticket. So didn't include this one, but definitely one I gave a long look to.
I like it. I'm all about the confidence. Yeah, I went pretty deep in this race, to say the least, in my pick 5 ticket. I had some stronger opinions elsewhere. Obviously, there's a couple, A's in this sequence. So that's kind of where I stood. But Brilliant Birdie will be on my pick 5 ticket that we'll get to later. But for our top 3, that's race number 10. I went 7-3-6. Jackson went 5-12-6. Kaylie went 6-5-7. Next up is race number 11. This is the Fairgrounds Oaks. We have another heavy favorite in this race, but we're going a mile and a 16th for these 3-year-old fillies. Your favorite is the number 7, Good Cheer. I'll throw the picks up on the screen. I went 7-5-6. Jackson 7-5-9, and Kaylie 7-9-5. Kaylie, I started with you for Sierra Leone. So Jackson, I'm going to start with you with the number 7, Good Cheer. Take it away on this undefeated filly.
Yeah, she's just, I don't know. She's really good, and I don't think this field is. And if the Oaks started today, I think she'd be the very clear-cut favorite in there. I'd be betting her in that spot. And she hasn't been tested yet, and she's been facing some decent horses while doing it. I know last time I was going to see 1-9, and she won by 6. She did what she was supposed to do, but that pace wasn't exactly fast, and she still got a pretty strong final number. And she's one that just seems like it's going to continue to improve. Looks like there's plenty of pace for her in this spot. It's going to set up for her today, and honestly, I feel better about her winning today than I do about Sierra Leone. So she's going to be ice cold single.
I like it. Good cheer. That's number 7. Kaylie, anything to add on this monster filly heading into the Oaks?
Absolutely. I think, she's a monster filly, like you said, and she hasn't quite been tested yet, also, like you said. But her last start in the Rachel Alexandra, I mean, she was in a very short field. Not only did she not have the pace to close into, but they tried to box her in on the rail. Like, they gave her a good run for her money. They were really trying to get her in a tough spot. And as soon as she had the room, she just pulled away dominantly. And I really like this filly and everything about her and her demeanor. If you look at her before the race, she means business. She eyes everyone in the paddock. She's super competitive filly. And I think no matter which way you look at the race, you're not really going to be able to find a way to beat her. There are some other interesting horses in here, but she's faced a lot of your main players. Even now, if you're looking at the Oaks Trail kind of late, this filly stacks up. I mean, besides the horses out in California, she's run some of the best numbers of any of the Oaks horses. So I did not want to try to beat her here. I think that, like you said, I'm even more confident in singling her than I am in Sierra Leone. And yeah, I think I really like this filly. So
Yeah, same. This is an absolute beast of a filly. She came back from her in her debut as a 3-year-old, just the same as she left, and even better, in fact. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. This is definitely the horse to beat. We all, actually, 2 of us ended up with the number 5, Her Laugh, in second. Jackson, I'll throw it out to you. I thought I was being a little creative, but I guess you copied me on this one.
I just think the moral line is bad. I don't think it's, it looks creative, but she's going to be second or third choice in here. There's no way she's going to be 12-1. I mean, everyone's going to see the awful trip she had last time and her still rallying and getting up for second. To be fair, it was impressive. I was impressed that she was able to overcome that. I just don't think she's good enough to be good cheer, even if she somehow clears this field and gets a really easy trip. I mean, the race, the Untappable, when she did have everything her own way, it says under wraps late, she was getting tired. I don't think she wants to go much further than that. So I think when you're going up against a horse like Good Cheer is going to run by her. But, I do think she is a major candidate to get second. I don't mind having, a straight 7-5 exacta a few times in this race. So especially with Irad riding, he's obviously pretty good. So I like her a lot in second.
I'm with you. She showed a little bit of a different dimension last time out. I know she threw her head and really had no chance coming out of the gate, but she went around the field and, passed a lot of horses. She did come up on the rail and up for second behind a runaway winner in Lacara. Lacara hasn't come back super strong, but I still think Her Laugh is going to be the logical second choice, at least for Jackson and myself. But another one that deserves some love is the number 9 Quick Kick. Kaylie, you have this horse in second. Jackson has this one in third, but Kaylie, I'll stick with you. Go ahead and take it away.
I think before I dive into Quick Kick, you kind of want to talk about the pace. It looks to be pretty moderate on paper, but you do have a few horses that could shake things up. Like the number 3, Ahava, who's the half to Vava. She's a sprinter that's stretching out. Well, she debuted sprinting. Her damn family suggests that she's a sprinter, but they are stepping her up here, and she did run a pretty fast race on debut, so she's going to be a major pace presence, along with the number 1, who's switching back to the dirt now and was pretty forwardly placed when she was running on the dirt. But going back to Her Laugh as well, who you guys just touched on, who missed the break last time out, but prior to that has been pretty forwardly placed. She is a practical joke. So like you said, she was tiring. And I have my doubts about her stretching out, but I put her third because I do believe that she has good enough speed to, get up in front and hopefully sit a nice trip. And definitely the way that she was able to make up ground last time out impressed me. But a filly that I think could take a really big step up here is the number 9 Quick Kick. We saw her in the Breeders' Cup where she made up a lot of ground there, and then last time out in the Honeybee was her first start off that layoff, and she finished I think 5th there. Now she gets a jockey change from Dylan Davis to Tyler Gaffleone. That's definitely not a negative, and this filly is one that is going to come flying late. And I think, second back off the layoff, she's going to be a major player. She's always been a filly I had my eye on since, the Breeders' Cup. So I do hope that she is able to improve second off that layoff. And she is a McKinsey as well. So she's going to love, the long stretch, and hopefully it helps her out as well. So.
Yeah, certainly a great point made on the number 9 Quick Kick. Jackson, anything to add as you have this one in third?
Yeah, I mean, Kaylie and I view this race a little differently, but we still wound up on the same horse underneath. I do think there's a lot of speed in here between the 8, who's the state bred sprinter stretching out, the Avaha's a sprinter stretching out, the 2 McPeak horse, can't think of the name, Gal's Delight or something, and then the 5 Her Laugh. I mean, that's a lot of speed in this race, and maybe they don't all go, but I gotta think at least 2 or 3 of them will. And the 9 is the horse that you can kind of rely on to pick up the pieces. I don't think she's really all that great, but I do think she's going to have a good setup in this spot, and she's going to come running and clunk up for third like she kind of always does. So that last race was kind of just whatever. It was kind of a merry-go-round, so I don't want to be too harsh on it. But second off the bench, she should move forward. And again, I do think she's going to get the right kind of trip in this race.
I agree. She should get the right kind of trip. A horse that I think is going to sit a similar trip is the number 6, Bless the Broken. Maybe even a little bit more forward than where Quick Kick is going to be. I do think that there is a fair amount of pace signed on. I think this one, obviously, you can see in the notes here, Cross entered at Turfway Park for March 22nd. So something to keep an eye on if she does end up opting to go to that route. But is she going there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I won't waste any more time and talk about Bless the Broken.
Give us the case.
What? Okay. All right. The case is that this horse is going to be sitting off the pace. I know they're going to be, there should be a decent amount of pace up front. Huh?
I was kidding.
Oh, were you? Oh,
if she's scratching, move on. Go to the next horse.
Oh, well, whatever.
I like this filly, though. I agree, Ryan. I think
I do too. We just talked about the Turfway card, and I think she was somewhere on my picks over there as well. Then my new third choice is going to be the number 4, Jenkin. And Jackson's probably going to love this because this is the horse I picked on what is that? The 3-year-old.
Ryan comes up, texts me. He's like, "Oh, I love this. Is December 6th. I love this horse called Jenkin today." I'm like, "All right, whatever." I think she's like 20 to 1 more line. Yeah, sure, dude. And then she wins at 15 to 1. I'm like, dude, did you have her? He's like, no. Like, you got it. Then,
yeah, I messed that one up.
Look, no, Ryan, Jenkins running again. Are you gonna bet her? Oh yeah, I'm gonna bet her. Wins again. Now you had to have bet her. She wins at 4 to 1. Did you bet her? No. This guy. You have
not my best. That was not my best move. I messed up twice on her. I did not bet her in the Honeybee though. So we're climbing back to even. She might be underneath on my tickets in this one with the scratch because I do think she can come from off the pace. I think she's a valuable runner. I don't know what happened last time, but I'll give her one more shot to kind of step up and improve. But that's the race. Race number 11. I went 7-5-4. With the scratch of number 6. Jackson went 7-5-9 and Kaylie 7-9-5. For everybody tuning in, we're about to get to the Louisiana Derby. If you're wondering who these 3 people are on screen that you haven't seen before on ABR, we are the hosts of Big Hoof Energy over on the Gallop Out on YouTube. Go ahead and head over there. Please, like, subscribe to this video. And we hope to see many more of you hope that you can see more of us in the future as we are joining up here. I almost had it. I almost had the English going through there, but we're going on to race number 12. It's Louisiana Derby. It's the feature on the race. I am going 7-10-3. Jackson's going 10-2-6. Kaylie's going 5-1-6. Kaylie, we got to start with you. The number 5 Caldera, who was in a ding-dong battle with Getaway Car last time out.
Yeah, and I know that now it's going to be a thing where everyone wants to pick against this horse in some way because of the way that Getaway Car ran back this past weekend. But Getaway Car still ran, a pretty fast race until fading there, and that kind of just speaks to that horse's ability, stretching out or getting pressure up front. But this number 5 Caldera, this was actually the horse that the coach thought was his better of his few Derby horses before this past weekend with American Promise. So that's not something really to take super lightly. And in this horse's first couple of starts, he was just racing into shape still. And then he got Lasix and blinkers for the first time and broke his maiden against, I'm pretty sure, older horses, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then came widest in the Sunland Derby. So Getaway Car had things all his way on the front end, and Caldera ended up passing him, and Getaway Car fought back, but Caldera really just missed, and the two of them were 9 lengths ahead of the rest of the field. And this horse has 2 bullet works coming into this. He gets Tyler Gaffleone aboard, which is a huge jockey change, and I expect him to be able to find a nice spot, maybe on the rail in that second group of horses, and sit a nice trip that way. And he also doesn't really have that much immediate speed to his outside as well, that I think that he could get a clean break and sit a nice trip. And he's a Dwayne Lucas horse that I'm getting 5-1 on. That's going to just continue to improve, and I really want to take a shot with this one. So
I like it. That's a great point on the number 5 Caldera. I gave this one a strong look. The only reason I couldn't pick this one is I know that my racehorse money is going to overbet this horse. So I didn't want to take less than 5-1. I don't know that we'll be able to get that. But Caldera is certainly the improving horse right now, and certainly could step up, as Dwayne has had a spectacular prep season, as his horses have stepped up in big spots time and time again. Jackson, I'm going to go to you. I picked this horse in second. You picked this one on top. It's number 10, Hitness. Go ahead.
Yeah, in this race, I feel like there's a lot of speed. There's going to be a lot of horses that are gunning for the lead, and I do think the come from behinders might have the advantage in this spot. I'm 2 or 10. I'm pretty interchangeable between those two. Just whoever goes off with a better price will end up being my top pick in this race. He was the one that, that was a good maiden field he ran up against. And for a barn that does not care about the first start, he ran really well. Won that race very easily on January 18th, won by 2, got a really strong number. Then came back in the Rebel, and he kind of got us set up, but that was a track that wasn't really favoring his style. And then he had a lot of trouble in the turn. There was some significant trouble he had, and I do like that after he finally got clear, he was, he re-rallied again. He was able to overcome that, galloped out way in front of the field. And again, this is a barn that they just get better and better and better the more they run. So I think you can be pretty confident that he's going to take another step forward in this spot. He's not that far off from what it's going to take to win already in this race. So if he does improve, he should be right there. And I think he's going to get the right kind of pace to chase in here. I feel pretty good about him. He should love the mile 3/16, I believe, for the Louisiana Derby. And I think that's going to be to his advantage as well. So give me Hypnus on top.
I like it. I saw this race very similar to you. That last race, he had a ton of trouble. He was kind of held up. Didn't necessarily check, but didn't have anywhere to go, and ton of horse at about the quarter pole. And then they turned for home. They got into the stretch. He looked for a split between horses, didn't have it, tried to shift out, didn't have it, went back inside, couldn't get the split between horses, eventually made it down to the rail, finally got running and ran on for a second. By the time that happened, they were, I think, inside the 16th pole, and he just had nothing to go, nowhere to go, and no time to catch up. Sandman had the clean trip to go and catch up for third. Madaket rode obviously in second, and then your awesome your awesome Arkansas dominant horse in Coal Battle had already won that race. So Hypnus, I think, deserves a good look, but my strong A in this race is the number 7 Vossimo for Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. This horse just keeps getting better, always improving. Last race, a little bit of a funky running line. If you watch that replay, there's a horse named Ferocious, and this horse, Vossimo, took a page right out of his playbook, kind of lost focus coming around, faded back, and then kind of re-rallied and got re-engaged. So I like to see that. I like the addition of blinkers. It just shows me that, this horse just clearly lost some focus going around, and that's, to be expected. It was his third start. It was a grade 2. He, broke the maiden, went into a non-winners of 1, crushed that competition, and then came right back. And obviously he lost the magnitude that day. That was a pretty speed favoring track. I think he's going to sit a very nice trip in here. I think the blinker is going to help this one focus up. Jackson mentioned there's a good amount of speed. I think this one has the ability to be forward, but I also think he can rate his speed a little bit and kind of, find a target and go and, get after it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to hope as far as Vossimo goes. This is a strong A in my opinion. I think 12-1 presents tremendous value in a race like this. So I'm going to press this one up on top, at least for me. We'll go down now to the number 1 horse, a horse that scratched out of last week's Virginia Derby to run in this spot. Of course, this being a 100-point race, the Louisiana Derby. So, Kaylie, you have this one in second. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so this one's making only his 3rd career start, but based on what we've seen so far, this horse seems to have a lot of talent. It's probably going to send from the rail. There's going to be a fast pace. This horse should appreciate the added distance as well. And you got to take those two speed figures seriously coming in here. I know he is your morning line favorite, but like you mentioned, my top pick, the number 5, could end up taking some money along with some others in here. But, I thought that this one is the best speed of the group. And he also outran Owen Almighty last time out in the Sam F. Davis, which very much flatters this horse that Owen came back and won the next time out. And last time out was also his first attempt without Lasix. So I think that second time off with no Lasix should improve as well. And I know the question exists of what will really happen if he's pressed by more horses, but he does look to have the best speed. And, I don't have him on top for that reason, that I think it could be a bit of a struggle facing maybe more pace pressure than he ever has before, especially by potentially the number 8 Furio, who's 12-1, but that horse is a little bit of a speedball. And I think that this horse can face some more pressure, and maybe that's the question mark, but I'm not leaving him off of my tickets at all.
Yeah. John Hancock. Definitely. Sorry. Go ahead, Jackson.
Just to add to the 8, I was watching the DRF Derby show today, and there were some rumblings on there that the connections of Furio are talking about rating this horse. I don't know if that's just head games, or they're just, I don't know why on earth they would try to do that. His best weapon is his speed, so you should just send, but they're just something to keep an eye on. It was kind of strange to hear that.
That's interesting, especially given the jockey booking of Luis Saez, who's known for being aggressive out of there. I thought his main pace presence was going to come from the number 4 Yinzer against John Hancock. And real quick, I think we do have to watch a quick replay of Yinzer's race, just because our guy Jackson here. Our guy Jackson. Sorry?
Do we have to?
Yeah, we're going to have to. So Yinzer is right here. He's the number 5 horse. He had this race pretty much won, and then he just decided to go visit the grandstand a little bit. So this was tough for our boy Jackson. This is a pretty big tournament play for him, and he still ran on and still only lost by less than a length for all of it.
That was a $5,000 Kentucky Derby betting seat and another $2,500 in cash if you won. Instead, I think our friend Matt Miller said he ran to go grab a hot dog at the vendor real quick in the grandstand. So
pretty much, and enough time has passed where I don't feel bad for giving you a hard time for it. So that is Yinzer. That's the number 4 horse. Had to have a little bit of fun there. This horse has turned it around and has become a pretty nice looking horse. Broke his maiden last time out. They've always thought highly of this one being a $1 million purchase for West Point Thoroughbreds. So I look forward to seeing this one run in here. Noah with a comment, way to bounce back. So obviously, yeah. I mean, you're going to expect a better effort in here. Real quick, Jackson, talk about the number 2 Chunk of Gold, your second choice.
Yeah, another one that should be coming from off the pace. The 1-2 back at Turfway was really good. There was 0 speed that day, and he still closed and nearly got there. If that race was a mile 16th, he was a winner. And that wasn't a bad field. Baby Max is a good horse. Might not be a Derby horse, but he's a very, very good horse in his own right. And then last time he ran really well. I mean, he was 43-1, and some people I highly respect picked him that day, and he kind of proved he belongs in that race. Had a tiny bit of trouble. Obviously, the number came back really well, and the 2 runbacks from last weekend were American Promise and Render Judgment. Kind of indicate that race was not a fluke. So the indications are good in this horse. He just his 4th start, so why can't you take yet another step forward? And he also doesn't have to be like 100 lengths out of it either. It's not like this is some stone cold closer. So I'm a big fan of this one. I just think he's going to be the one that's lower than Hypnus, but he's, again, those two are very interchangeable for me.
They are. Last one we'll have you talk about is the number 6 Built. Jackson, I got to keep it with you real quick for this. If you want to give me your thoughts.
He finished ahead behind Chunk of Gold, so he's right there too. It's just going to be a much shorter price, especially with Jose Ortiz riding. And had to pick this horse for our boy Noah, because if this horse wins and Noah doesn't have it, he'll never hear the end of it. So hopefully he'll be on one of my tickets as well.
Yeah, somehow Noah has 2 Derby horses, and they're both running in this race. He has, I think, 6 other Derby horses that aren't running here, but his 2 of his top 4 are running here. That's the 6 Built and the number 7 Vossimo. Obviously, 7 is Vossimo, my top pick in the race. Kaylie, before I throw it to you for your thoughts on the number 6 Built, we got to say goodbye to Jackson. This guy's got to get going. He's got another prior commitment to get to. We're going to try and wrap this up within an hour, but I don't think we're going to make it. So Jackson, thanks for joining us. Obviously, we will see you next time on Get Buck next week.
Yep. Catch me on the HHH Racing Show right now for the Turf Light card too. It'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. Betting and boozing over on HHH Racing Network. Go for it. Yeah. All right, Kaylie, I'll throw it out to you. What are your thoughts on the number 6 Built in this race? Your third choice.
Yeah, I think the addition of blinkers is probably going to help this horse out a bit. He was a horse to make up ground in the Lecomte 2-back, which is over a sloppy sealed track. Prior, he won going gate to wire at Fairgrounds in the Gun Runner. And another thing that stuck out, just I guess as a class thing that I look at, this horse did break his maiden at Keeneland. He was contesting a very fast pace that day, going 7 furlongs. That's not an easy task whatsoever. And he's never run without Lasix either. So, I think that this horse, he's getting blinkers on now. It's probably going to help him pass horses more effectively. And he has good enough speed to get himself into the mix right away as well. So this is one that should be doing most of his work in the late stages, but I viewed as another win contender, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I gave this one a strong look. I think that, I don't know, he's been a little inconsistent, but you can't really, look for a ton of consistency with these 3-year-olds. It's hard to find. But I think the blinkers on angle for Wayne Catalano could make a huge difference. This horse showed a lot of promise breaking his maiden, came out right back out to win in the Gun Runner Stakes, and then ran really nice last time out in the Risen Star. We mentioned that there is a decent amount of pace signed on in here, but on days like this, being forward can sometimes be the place to be. It sometimes just kind of works out that way. But at the end of the day, I do think this will play out to be a pretty fair racetrack. Obviously, a very stacked field. I'm looking forward to seeing who wins. Last one we'll talk about here is the number 3 Tistastic, horse that also ran in the Rebel last time out. Broke from post number 12, I believe was number 13 in that effort. But, battled on and finished 5th. He really didn't have as much trouble as the number 10 Hypnotist did, but I did like the post position draw for Tistastic in this event. Going to draw a little more to the outside. There should be a lot of pace. This one has the ability to be a little bit more tactical if he chooses to be. I think last time Madaket Road just kind of ran them off their feet in the early bits, with them going sub 23 and sub 46 for those first two. You see those time form codes on the left side of your screen being 161 and 150 going the mile and a 16th. I mean, that is just they were flying, or he was flying. Up top was Madaket Road. So Tistastic got a little bit of a setup, but nobody really ran on from the back outside of Cole Battle, who made a pretty early move around the turn. So I look for Tistastic to really take advantage of this long fairground stretch. And we've seen these Silks and this team up for quite a few wins out at Fairgrounds on these big days. So yeah, I'm looking for Tistastic to bounce back. I think you might get around 8-1, maybe even a little bit better. I think the value is going to be there, and this race is pretty wide open. Obviously, the number 7 Bossimo is a pretty strong opinion of mine, as we'll see when we get to the pick 5 tickets. But I think Tistastic certainly deserves some respect underneath.
I agree. And I think the number 9 as well, Instant Replay, that Brad Cox horse. That horse I have in 4th. Obviously a big step up last time out, getting a 92 buyer speed figure, which was obviously a big step up. But this horse wasn't really running against, it's not like this horse was running against nothing in his starts as a 2-year-old, and the layoffs seemed to serve him very well. So I don't know what happened between then and now, but clearly something clicked. I know the horse got Lasix, but that, is helping him out coming back off a layoff. So I think that this one, if he runs anything close to what he did last time out, even if he regresses a little, moving off Lasix could still play a major role in here, and is pretty good value on the morning. I don't know if it's good value, but definitely a decent price on the morning line, 6-1. But I think with all the speed in here, this is one that you could expect to be moving late as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come with his late run. First off the bench, you mentioned it, came back with an all-time best speed figure, basically paired at the buyers going into the break, came back and popped with a 92. He did have Lasix on for that event, so I wonder if maybe that played a little bit of a part. But worth mentioning, Brad Cox, obviously, as all of his stats are, he's like 23% switching off Lasix and graded stakes, so you can almost just negate that as an issue. 6-1 would present decent value, so I think I would give that one a look. It's not going to be too short for a horse that definitely second off the bench has a lot of upside, so I don't hate that pick at all. Certainly enough pace in here where this one could come flying late. So that is the number 9 instant replay. That is race number 12. That is the final leg of our sequence. We're going to get our pick 5 tickets up on the screen. One more time for race 12. I went 7-10-3. Jackson went 10-2-6, and Kaylie went 5-1-6. I'll throw our pick 5 tickets up. Jackson, I'll start with him. He went 1-4-9, singled to 7. That is Sierra Leone. Then went 1-5-6-12, and then singled Good Cheer, and then went 2-10 in the last. That's a $16 ticket. Kaylie, go ahead and take it away with yours.
For the first leg, I used the 3 horses that I had talked about. And then I also threw in the number 7, who, like we talked about, the Cherie DeVoe, who's switching to turf for the first time. And then, yeah, so the turf races, I spread a little bit. And then the next leg, I singled Sierra Leone. I'll have to adjust if there's any more scratches there, but I'm probably just gonna end up singling him. And then the next leg, I just used the 5, the 6, and the 7, the 2 Chad Browns and the Cherie DeVoe. Felt pretty safe just using those 3 in there. And then I'm singling Good Cheer in the Oaks prep. She's just completely dominant against this group. She's my number 1 horse on my Oaks list that I do for Naira Bets. So
That's right.
I had to put her on top here. She's just dominant. And then in the last leg, I added a couple of more into my pick 5 than I touched on, but yeah, I used John Hancock and Caldera, obviously, and Built. And then I also threw in your horse, the number 7, Vassimo as well, who I think, like you said, should honestly has a pretty good shot here and good price on the morning line, as well as the number 9 instant replay, because I view that race as pretty wide open.
I like it. That is a $30 pick 5 ticket brought to you by Kaylie. Mine is also $30. I went a little bit of a different approach. I went 1, 3, 4, 10, 11 in the first leg. So I used my top 3 choices. In addition to that, I used Way to Be Marie and the number 4 Tufani. Both horses, Kaylie, I believe, were in your top 3, and Jackson had the number 4 Tufani as well. I thought both of those deserved a look in a very deep race. Next race, I'm going to single Sierra Leone and I'll move on. I think even with the scratches that are out so far, I still think Sierra is far and away the best horse in that race. And even though the pace may not be in his favor, I think Pratt knows when he has to make that move. And I think he's going to make it at the right time. And I think that's all you need. Next race, race number 10. It's something I don't do a whole lot, but it's something that I feel confident enough doing here. I'm just going to hit the all button in race 10, the Muni's Memorial Turf race. That is such a deep and contentious race. I couldn't really split it. I couldn't cut more than, 3, 4 horses out. And I figure I have 3 A's throughout the sequence. So I'm going to buy that race. Again, not something I typically do, but I managed to do it and still keep the ticket pretty cheap. So I'm going to use every horse in there, hope for a bomb. Next race, I'm going to single Good Cheer. Obviously, just the best filly, number 1 on pretty much on Kaylie, your Oaks boards for Naira Bets as we approach Oaks and Derby season. If I had to have an Oaks pick, this would probably be the one as of right now, because Cipriani out on the West Coast hasn't run back quite yet. So until her next race, I got to stick with Good Cheer. Obviously, Tenma deserves a lot of respect as well. And then in the last race, I'm going to single Vassimo. That's a really deep Louisiana Derby race, but I love the price I'm going to get on Irad and Pletcher going a route of ground on dirt. It feels like tremendous value for a horse that has only ever improved his buyer speed figures. He's answered all the questions so far. I know he lost last time out, but I think with the addition of blinkers, I think that's really going to help him focus. I think you're going to get a really decent price on that horse. So that'll help, increase the value of this ticket. So I need some help in the first leg, and then I can't have the chalk win in that all race. But other than that, I have 2 strong 7s as my single, and then I'm going to end it with a nice price at 12-1 with Vassimo. So that equals a $30 ticket. That's my ticket. One more time. Got to be bold, and $30 is affordable enough where if I can get alive to the last leg to my top choice in that race, I'll feel good enough, and I'll just, I get to cheer for Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher in a dirt route. So, there are worse things to be alive to for sure. But everybody that has tuned in and watched today, thank you so much. It was a ton of fun doing this sequence and presenting it on ABR, America's Best Racing. Obviously, Jackson had to take off because he has another show to get to. That guy's so busy with all the Turfway picks this week. However, if you are wondering, again, who these 2 people are on the screen, and there used to be a third just somewhere over here, we are the members of the Gallop Out YouTube channel, so you can find us over there. Please like and subscribe to this video and to our channel. It would help us out a ton. We hope to see much more of you. Until next week, Kaylie, what can we look forward to going this weekend? Do you have any more things with Naira Bets coming out?
Yeah, tomorrow, Matthew DeSantis and I will have the preview for both the preps at Fairgrounds and both the preps at Turfway. So we'll probably go a lot more in depth about those 4 preps, which I'm looking forward to. And that'll be up probably tomorrow night. So
That's fantastic. It's always excellent analysis that you and Matthew bring for your Oaks and Derby look ahead. So I look forward to watching that. And as for when you can see us next on this channel, next week on Wednesday, you will see Get Bucked return with Jackson and myself. And then next Wednesday or Thursday, you'll see Kaylie, myself, and Jackson return for the next episode of Big Hoof Energy. We have a huge week next week. It is, oh man, I'm going to blank. It's Arkansas Derby week. It is also Florida Derby week. So we're going to have a huge show for that. Following week is opening week at Keeneland and Santa Anita Derby week. So it is fast and furious here as we approach Derby season. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Until next time, good night.